Listen. Yeah. Yes, dog. Get that out of
Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. I don't know what time of day it is right now, but it's whatever type of time of day it is for wherever you're at in this universe and world. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. It's the podcast of movie proportions. Hello, Bleeker. How are you doing?
Well, hi, Maddie. How are you? I'm good. I don't, I'm doing fine considering I couldn't put like 40 of the 110 A24 movies that are out.
I mean, there's so many options to look over. Please forgive me for this ASMR voice. I feel like it's appropriate for me today after this week and the last 2 weeks, to be honest. I'd like a calm show of epic proportions. My son, are you over here because you want me to pull you up here and say hi to people
I
as
had
you
to put my
always
daughters
do?
outside. They were running and barking. I was like, okay.
Yeah, this one today has been a little rowdy, but listen, this is fresh popcorn. Uh, excuse me, and
Matinee
matinee.
wishes
There we
and fresh
go.
popcorn dreams.
Hold on, baby. Okay, okay. He won't let me have a moment. I'm trying to think, and he just hopped
Well,
up here.
show your child.
Here you are. There you go. Okay. Okay, now you're up here and you see all these chords and shit. Don't you do all that.
Oh, he's gonna.
Did you hear it? Did you hear it, y'all? Yeah, yeah. You're up here now. Now what you want to do? Let's see here. Matinee Wishes and Fresh Popcorn Dreams is the podcast that you're listening to today. We're still here on YouTube, but we're going to be moving over to Patreon as well as other forms and ways of communicating with y'all over our favorite movie lists as well. I know it's been a couple of weeks, but a lot has been going on for both of us recently, and we're trying to get this together here so we can make this a bi-weekly, if not once a month storm. That means you're not on Do Not Disturb. Now you are on Do Not Disturb. Exactly. There we go. We're totally off today. So we're going to do our social medias. We're going to get into a couple of A24 films. We're going to do some of our least favorites, some of the, mediocre mid choices, and then some of our favorites as well. Now, one thing is that Ex Machina and Everything Everywhere All at Once are not on this list, and not because we don't love them, but it's more so because that was like the beginning of the A24 love affair, and Everything All at Once is one of the greatest movies of all time, period.
We've already talked about it
We
too.
could we could literally have a whole 2-hour episode about that film. So yeah, this is more so the other A24 cuts, maybe some that you didn't know were A24, and we're gonna go over them today. So me and Bleeker have a cute little list for you. Bleeker, how about you start with your social medias, please? I have to put this baby down.
Listen, the places that I'm most active are gonna be Letterboxd and Twitter. My Instagram is for checking messages and messages alone. I'm sorry, my pictures go up there whenever I feel like it. That's like once every 6 months. So you can find me on Letterboxd. It's Bleeker, just that, nothing else. On Twitter, it's Bleeker XOX. That's where you can get a lot of movie updates, behind the scenes movie updates, movie reviews, that sort of thing, as it pertains here. They, them pronouns. If you guys are referring to me in chat, I'd prefer you use that they, them pronoun. It would help me out. I don't mind a sassy girl, though. Don't feel like you don't get to say that, but Venmo is listed there if you wanted to help out with getting everything situated, because it does cost money to set these things up and to get things ready for you guys. We definitely want to make sure we make this a really cool experience, but that's where you can find me.
Absolutely. So make sure you follow the Bleaks if you into the of it all. There you go. So you got all that information. Make sure you go follow my good friend here. You already know what it is with me, with all of my information in the Linktree link in the description down below in this video that you're watching on YouTube currently right now. You also can catch me on Patreon. I have 2 videos to work on literally after this. So we're going to try to keep this less than 2 hours today with Drag Race Brazil and Drag Race Philippines. So excited to watch those today. And then, of course, down under tomorrow,
Can I see that smile again? Wait, can I see that smile again? You're so excited to start. Anyway.
I also have like 3 doctor's appointments tomorrow. So for those of you who are going to be expecting my Drag Race Philippines review, it will be probably the same time, same place, but it's not going to be a 2-hour review because me in the chat right now, Baked by Bunny will be going to the movies for the premiere of The Nun 2. We're seeing it in IMAX. I'm very excited for that because the first one was trash. And I would like to see if this one is better, only because it's part of the Conjuring series, and I have respect for that series as a whole. So I would like this to be better. And of course, some of the actresses that are in there, like Stormy Reed, I think, is in the movie as one of the nuns, and I forget Miss Mama's name with that face, but she's been in a couple of things I've seen who's really good. So.
Farmiga.
Is that her? Yes. There we go. Yeah, because she was in.
Because she's Vera's sister,
right? Yeah, there we go.
I can never say her name. I feel bad every time.
And they look almost exactly alike, but in a younger, smaller package, less mature mother of 10. I got it. But yeah, I'm seeing that tomorrow, so I'm very excited for that because me and Baked by Bunny, our tradition out here in Houston is we go see horror movies together. So if it looks good, we're going. If it doesn't look good, we might still go and make fun of the movie. So that's just how it is. And also, I'm bookable on Cameo. But again, Patreon, $1 a month, the cheapest subscription around and better quality than Zeus. But there you go. What else do I have on this agenda today? Oh, also, if you are interested in going to the movies, I understand there's a strike happening right now, but there are some companies that we can still support. There is a movie called Bottoms. Please.
That is on my birthday list tomorrow. That is how I'm spending my day.
Cannot get over how funny that movie was and how in shock I was because I expected it to be okay. Okay. I was like, it's going to be okay. No.
Well, especially because the sapphic content that we get is usually corny and terrible.
It starts one of the actresses from Bodies is in the movie. I just realized that today when I was getting the screenshots. Like,
Rachel Sennett.
Yeah, with the same hairstyle. But listen, I was like, oh, she's the Ariana Grande of acting now because this is literally the same hair. But no, it is for the LGBTQIA plus community, but also for anybody who wants a comedy. It does not take itself too seriously. I recommend you pay attention to things happening in the background of the movie. That was one of my favorite parts because as I'm watching it and there's so much funny things happening in front of me, you look in the back and you're like, okay, what? Lots of surprises for that one. So if you do get a chance to go see the movie, I highly recommend it. If it ends up coming to digital, yes, because it's going to hold its weight on digital. I plan to buy the movie because that's how funny it is.
I know that it's in limited release right now, but the more of us that are in areas that can see it, that goes to see it, it'll widen that release.
Yes, because it made a lot of money because it's 11 point something million budget, and they made 4.3 on the opening weekend, which is
10 with literally like 10 regions.
Yeah, and that's very good. So I assume this upcoming weekend there'll probably be more show dates for that film, hopefully. But yes, Plur Queen. Marshawn Lynch was really good. I was shocked because
actually hilarious,
like
in general.
He played his role very well, and they wrote him perfectly for who he is in his play on this. But it is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, lesbian comedy I've ever seen. I love that this was not just for like, okay, because it's called Bottoms, and they're like, okay, where is me? And maybe I am shown one time in this film, and I love that. It was about the ladies, and they held this movie all the way through. It was much better than that movie I saw with Stephanie. So what was it? The Girls, whatever that was. That dumb movie that came out. It was funny. This was better than that. Whatever Girls Trip. No, it was Vacation, Summertime Home.
Vacation, Summertime Home. Yes, that's my favorite. Thank you.
That's a great. It feels very Hulu presentation with Vacation.
Sure.
Oh, I can't, but I recommend that film if you get a chance to go see it. If you want to throw a little tip in my jar because I'm a single father of one badass child, PayPal.me/MattyRants, Cash App $MattyRants, Venmo As you heard, Bleeker's birthday is tomorrow. So again, if you want to throw some love their way, by all means,
Virgo
drop it like it's hot.
power.
Still jealous I wasn't at that concert to see Diana Ross and Beyonce at stage on the
Don't
same
get
time.
me started. Every guest that came out, I was like, I'm happy for you, but it should have happened to me.
Kate Trinata was one of the opening numbers. I'm like, ow!
It should have happened to me.
Here's me. I'm like, I know it's a Houston show, and we're gonna probably have a Houston local. Like, however, Kate Trinata is out here for my birthday. It's my birthday show.
The streets are saying you're gonna get her and Meg, so you're probably gonna get savage.
Somebody did say that Meg was gonna come out, and I'm really hoping that's the tea because it is my birthday show on September 24th. So I'm excited for that, and hopefully. Maybe because we're going to try to get the upgrade because everybody's like, if you get there early, you could try. I'm like, I'm going to try and be like, it's my birthday, please, Renaissance Club. And if that happens, I will have my wish fulfilled. But I'm just going to be happy to be in the building. So there you go.
As somebody who's seasoned in doing those things, I'm going to give you some tips before you go.
Yeah, we'll do that off camera so these can't get no tips. I almost called y'all swear words. Hey, everybody, this is a disclaimer because this podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and content is not intended to disparage any religion, race, company, individual, or snacks. Choo-choo. All opinions expressed by MattyRants, excuse me, I'm so used to the other script. All opinions expressed by program participants are solely their personal views and do not reflect the opinions of all. Girl, hold on. I'm so used to the other script.
He tried to fire me live on air.
I'm so used to the other script. Okay, one more time. All opinions expressed by program participants are solely their personal views and do not reflect the opinions of all humans, AIs, or extraterrestrials. Do not send hate to any of the show's actors, writers, producers, or individuals mentioned on this program. And if you feel tense after watching this podcast, take a deep breath and watch a puppy video or hug a cat, but not Mamu-chan because that's my cat. Meow. All right, so thank you. Oh my God. I was like, I'm so used to my other script. Welcome to the movies. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Make sure you hit that like button if you could for us, please. I don't know what you're doing right now, but I hope you're having a good day. If it's your birthday, make some noise. If you're celebrating anything, I hope you're being risen and raised to the highest levels. Not to a ceiling fan, though. Those hurt. If you've ever been hit by one, I have. All right. 824.
When you're having a bad day already and then you hit your head.
Yeah. That was me this morning when my balance gave out on me when I was trying to get out the bed to go use the bathroom, and I dead ass plummeted to the earth. It was not fun. Cat just looked at me. I said, "Yeah, if you were a dog." Okay, no, I'm just kidding. So listen, A24 is the conversation today in terms of movies that we are going to be discussing. We have some ones that we didn't care for, some that we're on the fence about. Maybe we won't watch again, but we feel indifferent in those that we love. Again, Ex Machina and Everything Everywhere All at Once are omitted from these lists as they are potentially the beginnings and, of course, the top tier of the brand, if you will. And we've had conversations about them before. But these other films we think that you should take a look at, even if we just say we don't like them, you may love these movies. And these are all recommendations from us as we break them down and give our own perspective on what we thought. Some of these films we've both seen before. Others, maybe not so much, especially one in particular with Ben Stiller. I was like, oh, that's all you, boo. Not.
Let me tell you,
honey.
I'm going to go in on it too. I'm going to go in on it.
I felt like Scarlett Johansson was going to pop up in just the poster because I was like, oh, this is giving that kind of crap.
I saw, literally, I had to see it. I'll tell you, we'll get there. We'll get there
because I was getting marriage story energy. That's just that. Naomi Watts, Adam Driver, Amanda Seyfried, Ben
on the
Stiller.
nose.
I saw a white woman dancing with black people. I knew.
Oh, it's that movie. It's that movie.
I looked up the trailer and I said, "Oh, it's that movie."
I paid human money for that.
Not human money.
Human money to go and see that.
I took
it out of my bank account and used my human money for that.
The first movie a part of this list. No. I did put this poster up just to give the emphasis on where we're going in this direction.
It's so good, and if you haven't seen it, please see it.
So yeah, we highly recommend Ex Machina. I think this is my first introduction to A24 as like an audience goer aware of my movie realm. And I went in like, okay, the trailer is amazing, but let's see here. And The story alone is magnificent, but it's the atmosphere. It is the music. One thing about A24, they always pick directors as well as scripts that involve a little less cookie cutter filmmaking, where it's like, oh, this is all very, we know where this is going. Everything feels
Right.
like we're running into dead ends and we're riding around in circles until we get to some crazy ending that's going to take us somewhere. Not all A24 films are like that, but this was my start to, okay, bitch, I can't wait for the next
Right.
A24 film.
Well, when Ex Machina came out, it kind of set the precedent, right? It came
Mhm.
out in a time where we were doing reboot after reboot after remake after reboot after reboot, and we were hungry for something original. This
Mhm.
came out in limited release, and they had to extend it outward to nationwide because so many people on the internet were talking about it.
And that's how I got to see it, was the conversations like, "It's really good, da, 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 da." I'm like, "Oh, really? Okay." And yes, it was worth a theater visit. It was like, "Ooh, this is insane." Like, at home, it's fine. In the theater, that was another level.
Mhm.
Everybody's gasped when things were happening and where certain things were revealed. It was, the audience was so involved. Oh, I love movies like that when we're all having the same emotions. And it's like,
And it's like the reason A24 is so successful is because they've continued that trend. Even in their
Mhm.
bad movies, right?
That
Because
we're
they
about to get to, because
even in
the
their bad and mediocre movies, the one thing that you can't say is that story is not original
it's
because every
true.
single time it's original. And if it's a play on an older story, there's such a twist on it that it doesn't even matter.
It
And that's the
definitely,
reputation they set up.
they do pay homage to a lot of different stories that we may have seen before, but like Bleeker says, it's the packaging and the presentation that we are then given that's like, what? I love this reimagination of that. Now, we're gonna get a little bad movie sort of bit from me here, and it may not necessarily be bad to you, but this one for me is the beginning. I'm gonna start with two, and then Bleeker's gonna go in on theirs. Okay, this is how I set it up. I'm starting with Men, and
A statement you can say in everyday life, even though it's completely
basic.
I'm starting with Men, first of all.
So I was interested in this because it came from the writer of Ex Machina and Annihilation, which Annihilation is not an A24 movie, it's Paramount. However, Annihilation is one of my favorite fucking movies. A lot of people
Really
didn't care for
successful
it.
sci-fi.
It's my kind of sci-fi. It is very deeply intense to a disturbing end, to where it now all makes sense and it kind of blows you up a little bit because it's like, oh, it wasn't her husband. Okay, but listen, it wasn't her husband. And then was that her?
That's what I'm saying. I love the ominous ending. I love the parallel endings. This doesn't
This
hit.
movie wanted to be so good, and that's why I sat through it. And this is how I'm going to describe the movie to you: how brilliant it started, and how sad and sort of like you were feeling pity for this woman. And the message is clear. I'm good on it because as a man who is also a part of like this small portion of feminism over here, I got it. Especially with everybody looking sort of the same, and how her view of men is sort of like skewed into that direction. But it was after she lost her, I believe either fiance or husband, who then took out themselves, is the best way I'm going to put this here for terms of services and all the references.
Yeah.
And we sort of find out through the movie how it happened, because it seemed like from the beginning that it was some sort of like abrupt, oh my God, what's going on? But you find out there was more to the story, especially with her husband or fiance gaslighting her, and finding out that she wanted to break off this relationship, but he was the one that was trying to, uh, basically manipulate her into staying until he went to that level. And there you go. So she moves out of this situation that she was in, and she goes into this countryside, and she meets all the men. Like, that was such a weird part about this. There was no women in the town. It was like, what? How you end up over here? But as she's going through this town, she sees weird things happening, like a naked man walking after her. And then this guy who completely seems to dismiss all of any issues that are happening here, to even this pastor who, again, if you look at everybody looking like some sort of my cousins, my cousins, my cousins, you're like, what the fuck is going on here? But it seems like there's some nefarious thing happening with the men in this town, and her being there after dealing with the situation is going through some things, right? Here we go. My issue is I didn't know what was real or what was her own hallucination that was happening through these moments, through her own grief that she was facing, and then what seemed this okay, naked guy breaks into a house all bloody and shit. It goes down like that. There you go. You're welcome. Like that. There you at the end of it. That was weird to me. I was like, wait, what's going on? It's one of those movies.
It kind of feels like one of those situations where they're trying to play on the paranoia women may feel and how they mentally can manifest all of the situations that could be happening around them.
But then
But
it
it was
was
done
happening.
right. And so it's like this weird jarring thing because they never really explain why certain weird things are happening. Like, I'm all for ambiguity in films.
Oh,
I'm
I
all
love
for
it. But
I love not being
it
explained
has to
to.
make sense though in the
Right.
ambiguity because all we got was, and I'm talking about some like guitar bullshit at the end of the movie. Like that's it. Man's dead. She goes and leave. That's
Right,
it.
they're like problem solved.
Yeah,
I'm
and
like,
she's walking away all fucked up. No, I don't
was
listen.
the whole town not the problem?
That
I don't.
part, like,
I'm really confused.
like let's not get, mind you, after that was that him and one, and that was also the part that threw me off because it was like, was that just one person who she kept meeting in its own different form, or was it a different some? It was weird. The imagery was beautiful. The movie itself was like, I enjoyed the visual aspect of it. The story for me is what lost me. I was more interested in her husband's past and that situation there. And once that was over with, I was like, okay, that should have been the wrap and
Right.
resolution. I'm over it. I'm not going to hold this guilt anymore because it wasn't my fault. He tried to manipulate me. And then we go into this weird shit with some naked man coming in the house trying to kill her. And I was like, okay. Like,
Yeah, like
it was a lot.
So I always break movies into 3 parts. There's 3 acts in every movie. There's a beginning, there's a middle, there's an end. The beginning is your setup, the middle is like all the meaty bits where you get all the information, and then the end is the wrap up, right? There's 3 segmented areas for each movie. This is literally just the first half and the third half. There's no real middle. There's a whole bunch of filler, but there's no substance to it. Like, it's like I'm eating cotton candy the whole middle of the movie. It's like, okay, this is like great and all, but I'm tired of air in my food.
Yeah, because there are
I want to have a
connections that make
meal.
no sense. It's like, okay, so she met this person and that was weird, and that's it. Okay,
Yeah,
nothing
that's
to
it.
do with the next individual.
Like, men are weird. I'm like, okay.
And we're like, yes, we
I'm
know.
aware.
Like we're all gross, but to me, I got it. I just didn't care for how it was packaged, and I still think the imagery of this film was brilliant, especially this tree scene. I was like, this was like fabulous. But other than that,
it's
it's a no
visually
for me.
stunning. It's well acted, but the story is just weak.
Was
It's
very
just weak.
strange.
Like, you have to have more of a tie-in. Like, you just like the best way I can describe it is Men is a struggle meal. It's not necessarily the worst movie you've ever seen. You'll get a little bit of bites here and there.
And
You'll
you
have a
might
couple of
love
moments.
it. You might love it, but it's
Right.
it's a journey. Because I had to rewind several times to go, so what about that had to do with nothing. Okay, I didn't need to even rewind that part. Let's keep on
A
going.
bread sandwich with no filling. Exactly.
A bread sandwich.
Where you're just eating bread and butter.
My next least favorite, and me and Bleeker had a conversation about this many times before, and I will always continue to talk about this weird ass movie, is Beau is Afraid. And I think maybe my anger stemmed from how long the film was. And there are certain elements of this movie that were brilliant. Patti LuPone, to be, for example, of that. But when I tell you this journey, for me, why I put this in my least favorite was the ending was not satisfying for me. It took me completely out of the entirety of watching this man's full story play out of his paranoia and his schizophrenia, which you then think is not really that, because the way other people view it make it seem like he did these things intentionally on purpose, which then make you question your whole entire idea of what has been happening throughout the movie, that maybe he just made this all up. Do you see the pattern of films that I don't like? Where it's like,
I fully admit that this is a 1,000,000% hit or miss movie.
Fever dream.
You are going to either hate every second of watching this. Like, you'll enjoy bits and pieces of like how they put it together, but as a
Oh,
whole,
yeah.
from the story standpoint, you're either gonna loathe the fucking shit out of it, or you're gonna love every bit of it.
It's once, and the best way to describe a little bit or a portion of the movie is it gets very Truman Show at one point in time.
That's why I like
And
it.
you start finding out, like, if you really think about it, it's always been that way through the whole. Because I watched it the second time. I did, Bleeker, and I was like, this is insanity. Like, I can't believe I missed that part, and I can't believe this didn't click to me. But I did not. I didn't like it because for me, it just went so far to get so nowhere to
I
then
did warn
lead to
you.
nothing. Yeah, that ending
To be
was
fair.
absolute shit. And then it was the way it ended too. I'm talking about boom, and then all of a sudden, credits.
Listen.
That's it. It's just
Listen.
you see people walking away. You're it was like, what the fuck is
For
happening?
my absurdist film lovers, you'll love every bit of it. Like, legitimately, I need to meet Ari Aster's therapist. I need to talk
And I love
about
Ari Aster. I do.
I need to find out what they talk about. I need to know if he ever resolved his relationship with his. I have so many questions because that man literally put every nightmarish fever dream he has ever had into a movie. And for me, it's successful, but I also like a lot of really weird stuff. So if you are going to tread into the Beau is Afraid territory,
Hated
you're
this part.
going to get into a really weird segment of things.
And
Because
it's
the
also
whole
Joaquin Phoenix just being like the whole movie.
and the acting is brilliant. Everybody's great.
He
I-
was so annoying,
but wait,
but
can
you're
we-
like, you had to sit, you had to be in it. You had to just watch him the
Oh
whole
my
movie.
God, you just busted through that bag. Like, I think about that line every day. Every day.
Run,
Every
bud,
day.
run,
I
Bo.
still can't listen to that fucking song. I still can't listen to it. Because that's all I think about. And the way they just haul her off afterwards as Patti LuPone looks at him, rubbing her little fingers on the sheets.
Right.
Please.
Too much.
It's
much.
so well acted, but there are so many moments where you go,
this scene.
how did this happen?
Now, when I tell you, y'all, my Eddie had kicked in at this part here, and I wish
Oh
this was
no.
I wish this was at like some planetarium kind of level. How this, I actually would have watched this entire scene at like some sort of like planetarium, like baby. The narration through this part and how I thought the movie was about to be over because it gave beginning, middle, and end to this man's life. And then when it comes back to him all now that was my favorite part. This actually was my favorite part because it was so strange, but also it was calming. And
It was the realest part.
It made sense because it was everything he wanted to happen. And I was like, oh my, and and this certain sense of reality that he was looking for that he wasn't able to convey. I hate. Ooh, I want to punch this. I was angry.
Ooh.
I was angry. I literally at the end of the movie, me. That's it. That's it. Like we don't get. Okay, fine, cool. That was me. Cool, great.
Listen.
You got me. You got me. 2 hours and 90 minutes later. Jesus Christ.
Different strokes for different folks. The middle bit for me, it's disjointed and it doesn't make sense in the middle of this movie, but at the same time it does for me. And again, I'm not making any I want to reiterate, I'm not making any excuses for this movie. I'm not. If you think this is terrible, you're probably right. I like a lot of crazy stuff.
Listen,
But
like
this was a joy for me because it's such a nightmare. And
the Nathan Lane like portion of the movie with Miss Mama who married Michael Scott from The Office
with the daughter and the paint, and
that was a lot to take. That was a lot. It was like, what the fuck is going on today? Like, I can't do it.
Can we at least talk about the one good part of the movie that we both agree on, and that's Patti LuPone's big speeches at the end?
That was my favorite part. And
her big speech before she falls into that glass.
It's the apartment scene too for me when he's trying to get back to the corner store to get the water that didn't come back. That was
yes.
it was downtown LA to a T, bitch. And I was like, oh my goodness. And I told you that. I was like, oh, this is downtown LA.
Didn't I?
Like, I was like, this is exactly what it is, because you trying to duck and dodge folks asking questions and wanting this, and getting mad when you don't.
There's this crazy slow descent into madness that I'll eat it up every time. That's what I'm saying. That's what I like about it.
That pissed me off. Or was it? Because it really felt like he was losing his shit and everybody around him was
here's
just
the
not
thing.
paying him.
The way that I like to frame it is grief makes you do crazy shit, right? So he's already kind of not there all the way. The one person you deemed like your safe person, like your mother, is just on the phone. You've been told she's dead. And again, that's not a spoiler or anything. It's literally at the beginning of the movie. He's been told she's dead, and then everything gets crazy after that.
And
like, it's very realistic.
Right, because he was supposed to visit her, and then he didn't go and visit her because he's like, oh no, because I lost my keys. Oh my God, that scene. I lost my keys because it was there and someone took them out of my door. But you're like, did that actually happen? Did he just make that up? And his mother ends up, they called, well, Bo, your mom's actually dead. You have to come to the funeral. And he's trying to find a way to get there. But then all these things start to happen where it's like, it's a lot. It's
like he's already trying to get there, and then now he has this guilt and this grief, and so his brain is making up all of these different things and stuff. But at the same time, it's like, this is kind of believable because she has a lot of money and she could technically do these things if she really wanted to. But is this a way for him to like cope with his mother? Is this a way that he's trying to cope with whatever grief he has, and he's trying to do unsolved things, and she's not really in the house, and he's saying all these things, and he's like at a mental break? I love that. I would love to ask more questions about that. But a lot of people don't like questions. They like answers.
Not to say that I don't like questions, so let's not do that. For me personally, not even that description. I won't let you have that, Bleeker. This movie was shit to me, like shit. And Joaquin Phoenix, I swear I saw you for 3 hours mumble. I swear to God, and it drove me fucking nuts. But I do appreciate two things about this movie. One, the art direction through every scene was absolutely brilliant. There were angles that really threw you off and disjointed. The music too was incredible. It did add a sense of confusion to what was happening, or if he was manic, it would be amped up and put into like a billionth degree of a level. It really drove you in emotions, and I wanted to leave many times, but I couldn't, because I'm like, I have to
know.
I got to get to the end of this because there is something going on here. And as we got further down, it was like, holy shit. But I think it was that Patti LuPone part where I was like, holy crap, what is, and then it just went into the boat. I was like, what? Like, we could have ended with her arguing with him and him just dying, but I don't know. It's a lot. Anyway, Bo is Afraid. You may like it. You may not. I think it's
it's there. I don't think I've ever met a person yet that's been like, I'm kind of in the middle. Like, it's literally gonna be one or the other.
Joaquin. Ooh, have fun.
This movie is hot, wet, hipster garbage, and I can't stand it. I can't. It has three people I love in it.
That's right. Hold on. Wait.
The giant
DC. Totally forgot to talk about the.
I didn't want to spoil it for anybody. No, there's literally a scene in the third act towards the end, and his father is literally a giant wiener in the attic.
That's been locked up. When I tell you, it was some Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Like, you know, they're building that like penis ship. It was. I never thought that'd be
the only part of this movie I will never defend. Never.
Now that was the part that cacked me. We were all in the movie theater, and I remember this lady goes, "Now what in the fuck is this?" And I said, "It's a giant dick." That was crazy.
The stabbies, like, just.
That was too much. It was way too much.
That was the one thing that never got really. I can formulate all the theories I want for it, right? But like, I don't.
Listen,
I don't know what.
I could tell this movie was gonna be bad just from the poster alone and the
Oh,
title,
it is.
While We're Young.
So let me tell you the story about this. Okay.
No, I'm just
Ben's
kidding. I'm kidding.
honestly, I wish I hadn't seen this. I wish this wasn't in my memory. Naomi Watts, Ben Stiller are this couple in their 40s, and they're starting to feel old. And this 20-something couple moves in near them in Brooklyn, and white, we're young. That's exactly it.
It's
I
like
swear to God, you know what? Now that you mention it, I don't think I saw a single black person in this entire movie.
until you got to that dance scene, Mama, because I was like,
they're not speaking roles, at least. Not speaking roles, at least.
you know,
that
gotta
I
be
can remember.
background.
That I can remember. It's been a couple years, but yeah, they're in a hip hop dance class at one point. Let that sink in. If you want to know what Amanda Seyfried and Naomi Watts look like dancing to hip hop music and what they think is hip hop dancing, please feel free to watch this movie, but you're going to waste your time. It's terrible.
Not
And
Julia Stiles worthy.
they basically spend the entire movie trying to feel young again with this couple who's insufferable and terrible. Like, they're the ones that go to farmers markets and all that stuff. And now I'm not saying that that's a bad thing inherently, but they're the people that like go up and they're like, are you sure this is gluten-free? Like that kind of energy. And that whole movie is just screams it. There's no real purpose in other than to be like, yeah, you're old, get over it. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, this is 40. Okay.
Yeah, but not funny, uninspired, the most
That wasn't
dry
funny either.
dialogue ever.
You're me.
Like,
That wasn't funny either.
dry.
Oh, Judd Apatow, no shade. That was
No,
very
they will
but
shop in Williamsburg and act as if they're giving back. There's literally a scene about that
Are you
where
serious?
they go into like Williamsburg or some like area where it's thrifting, and they're like, we really feel like we're reducing our carbon footprint. And I'm like, the whole thing is supposed to be like Ben Stiller and Naomi Watts realizes that that's not the generation they're a part of, and the generation they're a part of is like something beautiful, and they may not be that person anymore, but they're still fun and they're still themselves and they still love each other. And I okay.
I'd rather watch that episode of American Dad when Francine and Stan need to get friends and they end up with the younger couple in their park war, and then Stan falls down some stairs and breaks his leg, and it was really
Yes,
funny.
okay. And you said that it seems like a marriage story. It's literally a marriage story, but more boring.
I will judge anyone that enjoyed the Marriage Story, by the way. I will judge anyone. And also, because you know I don't care for Scarlett Black Hansen. Excuse me.
And my thing is, like, I can't even compliment the acting of this movie. It's not good. Like, it's just
Ben Stiller's trying to be serious, and that doesn't always work for him. And Naomi, well, no shade, sister. You're on that Halle Berry path of picking films. No shade.
She has a string of terrible ones and then a really good one, and then
a
string of terrible ones and a really good one. And I'm
Halle Berry. You know that you literally win an Oscar or you get nominated for one, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, here we go. Like, let's see what movie you choose this week. Terrible. Adam Driver, you're hit and miss for me sometimes. I enjoy you shirtless and staring down at
my thing is, like, usually his acting isn't the problem for me. In this, it was so weird. He was rigid. He didn't really have an emotional range, and I guess that's maybe like a character choice he made because the guy he's playing is really vapid.
Maybe he was still stuck in Star Wars realm because that's
maybe
how I viewed him.
I don't know.
Stand him in Star
Wars.
But
none of them pulled any weight in it, and for a script that's so dry and just meh, there's really nothing there.
So
you spend an hour, I think it's like an hour and 45 minutes just follow them around like a puppy. Like, you're 4-year-olds following 20-somethings around, trying to feel like 20-somethings, and I'm supposed to give a shit that you found clarity and peace in being 40 at the end just by being boring and white throughout Williamsburg? Okay. Do you know how many other movies I could have watched? Like, if I wanted that, I'll just watch When Harry Met Sally or
any movie Diane Keaton.
Anything that Meg Ryan was in the 90s. I'll go watch that instead.
Like, well, How about this one, Bleeker? False positive. I actually remember this one.
Um,
I'm with you. I was not happy.
Thank you. Okay, so the premise of this movie is Justin Theroux and Alana Glazer are a couple, and they want to have a baby. They're having trouble having a baby. Justin Theroux and his father are insemination specialists, and they do IVF and things like that. And he's like, "Oh, just let my dad do it. If you don't feel comfortable with me doing it, let my dad do it." He injects her with his specimen. Already that's awful. And she slowly realizes it over the time of her pregnancy that it's his, and she's experiencing all these weird psychological issues, kind of like a Rosemary's Baby, but also like Jane the Virgin, but all bad. Like everything is just terrible and mixed together, and it has some of the weirdest visuals I've ever seen that have no purpose. Like I'm just gonna spoil bits of it because it doesn't matter. It's awful. If you want to watch it on Hulu, you can. But there's a bit where she ends up having the baby and it's bloody in her arms, and she's just slowly trying to breastfeed it in her arms as the camera pans away of this bloody baby sitting on her boob.
Yeah, I didn't care for this one, and I should have known when I saw what the premise was, but let me sit this through and find out, and it got worse and worse, and that ending was crap for me. I was just like, this is stupid.
There was no resolution. She finds all that out, goes ape shit, and then she has a random bloody baby on her. Okay.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, so thank you. And
like, there's no real justice to it. There's no real answers to it.
It wasn't thorough, Justin.
Well, he wrote Iron Man 2, so what do you expect?
Ooh.
So, anyway,
let's get into some mid categories of the A24 variety. And mid as in we liked it, but sometimes it's like, I don't know if I'll watch this again. I'm starting this off with Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Did you see this, Bleeker?
Yes.
Great.
Anything with Rachel Sennett in, I'll definitely watch.
I have mixed feelings about this movie. There are certain points of dialogue where the monologues were on motherfucking point. And I was like, yes, read, shade, go in, act up. But also, Pete Davidson is in the movie. So that is a major negative for me personally.
To be fair, he's not in it very long.
As long as he was in there, I was like, oh,
it was
God.
Just
God.
He still was in it.
Like, he has to die. And I was like, but listen, it's literally about a bunch of rich friends coming together that they all like share a bond through drugs with. That's really stupid. And there's one girl who got clean and became like outcasted because she stopped talking to them, who then brings this girlfriend who's a foreigner who doesn't know these people, who then finds everything to be a little bit strange. And they play some game called Bodies, 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 where someone else and blah, blah, blah. Anywho, people start dying. But then it's all led through some sort of misunderstanding that happens. And it was supposed to be some TikTok chat.
Yeah, like the whole setup is brilliant, but then they just fall on their head at the end, I feel like. So like I called the ending from the get-go. Like, it's a Pete Davidson character. He was a friggin' idiot. I knew what he was doing with said sword, and I knew what was happening. Yet we watched the whole thing devolve into paranoid argumentation of them killing and fighting each other the whole time. And that one scene where Amandla and Rachel Sennett were going back and forth at each other, reading each other for filth, was the only part that I genuinely enjoyed. Like, the rest was just like throwaway or watched mindlessly.
It's very get lost in what we already had in our ideas as the ending, and then they start to try to like throw you off of what's going on, and then you start to get really involved with the newer girlfriend of Amanda's character, but then you're also trying to like who is telling the truth and who is lying. And I hated the fucking ending so much. I had to fast forward through some of this movie because it was like, oh, they're just talking. Like, okay, what are we talking about? Like, this has nothing to do with any. I don't care. Right. I don't care. No, like,
do you know what a comparison my friend gave me like a couple months ago when they watched this was it feels like I'm playing Cry Wolf or Mafia or like Among Us, and I'm just watching it happen in real time. But
yes.
I've been dead the whole game, so I'm bored.
Exactly. And you already know what's happening. So you're just like, let's see how they play this out.
Yeah, you're like, I'm dead. I know who the killer is already. I'm just gonna see how it plays out. They're not getting it. They're just not getting it. Why can't they get it?
It's a lot. You may enjoy it. There's a lot of funny moments in the movie. Some stuff that wasn't unintentional with the hilarity, but overall, it did leave me going, I don't know if I would watch this again, but I did have a good time for the most part. It didn't do nothing for me at the end.
Watch if you want to see hot girls fighting each other, I guess.
Bleeker's choice is Midsummer, and I've seen this and can agree with this statement.
I mean, it doesn't
Midsummer.
help that the first time I tried to watch this, it was an interesting experience.
You know, I saw this
But
in LA when I was living in LA and I was staying at David's.
oh, did you? Oh, did you? Is that where you tried to watch it?
No, I didn't try to watch it there. That's where you tried to watch it. When I watched this, it was at a movie theater, and it was the Sunset one over there, and I think Hollywood. I actually took a bus or an Uber, and I went and go see this movie, and very interesting experience.
No one hate me for putting this as mid. I didn't hate it. It's visually stunning. Florence Pugh is putting in the acting work. She's doing incredible with her little frog face. I love her.
Frog face. I mean,
every time. I love it. I love it. But like, it was so slow. So slow. Like something would happen and then it would be a snail's pace to get to the next point. And then something would happen and then it would be a snail's pace to get to the next point.
Chi-chi. That's so
and like
funny.
and the thing is, the thing that would happen would be so absolutely traumatic that I'm like, how are we possibly not talking about this?
This part alone.
Oh my god,
ruined me.
Jumping off and you didn't die, and so they had to slam
Mine
you
was
with
too.
a hammer.
Mine was too, Louise. It was me and 3 other people that went and saw this, but and it was so bright. Oh honey, in a movie theater. You're like, oh my god.
You're like, it's huge, it's bright. Help.
Like, oh my god. Yeah, the pacing of this is where me and Bleeker are going to agree, because when we got to the parts that were actually insane, they were complete insanity. And for me, like Bleeker's talking about here, I know this is Bleeker's choice, but here I go. This woman's going through a situation after, I believe, her sister commits. This is a theme with some A24 films. I'm just gonna be real with you. And she's going through a severe depression. Her boyfriend has been trying to break up with her. Asshole. And he is trying to go on this trip out here to this country to go have an experience with his boys, because they're told they're going to get all this, boom, pound, all that kind of crap. Right. He ends up having to bring the girlfriend, even though he doesn't want to be with her anymore. And they fly out here. Okay.
No, let's say it as it is. She invites herself onto the trip.
True.
Invites herself. Now, see, this whole movie wouldn't have even happened if you just stayed the hell home.
And mind you, he was trying to get her to stay too. He was doing everything in his power to like, I want to invite you, but I don't want you to come. And then she still like followed him there. Basically, it was pretty sad.
If somebody is giving me that hemming and hawing on whether or not they want me around, I don't want to be around.
Exactly. And like, you have the friends who are with them. Like, this is douche nugget number 1, who really hates her. He more so feels bad for her, but it's like, that's what he wants to do. And that's the boyfriend who got what he deserved. Oh, one scene in this movie was so sweet to watch. But
the men of this movie were insanely diverse in how they responded to things.
But imagine coming to this place, and one of the first events that you see upon arrival is this ceremony that takes place in front of the sacrifice that they do.
Right? I'd be going home.
Literally,
I'd go home.
Like, what was it again? They had to do, I think it was, they had to like slit their
throats. They had to leap off the gorge, and they had to sacrifice themselves and die.
Oh, that's right. And then if they didn't die upon the impact, someone had a mallet. And he literally, the fact that we got to see it.
I was about to say, I will never forget the visual effects of that brain spatter and the skin on the rocks, I will
Complete
it's
silence, and you
weird.
hear boom,
And then
boom.
we're supposed to just go, okay, let's go have dinner. Like,
But it's like Florence Pugh. This is us in the movie theater too, because and they show the body falling, y'all. It was a lot.
and you hear the thud.
Yes.
God.
Oh. Like I have seen videos of stuff like that happening in real life, which if don't ever look that up because it's
Please don't.
it is a dreadful sound to hear
The
somebody
makeup and
do
special
that.
effects for these things and the audio editing, so good.
Yes. Oh, Baked by Bunny, you know we love a good practical effect. We're Terrifier fans over here, so we do love a little bit of that old school bit of, I'm gonna show you this not CGI kind of gore, but it was disturbing to say the least. But as they realize once they get to this place that they find out that their person who was their foreign friend actually brought them there to be sacrifices, which is what they always do for every festival, is they find some outsiders who want to see the land and explore, and be a part of this scene and find out all this crap, but in reality they're using them. And this scene alone was
Okay, this is part of why I don't just scrap this movie altogether. 1, the acting. 2, it's visually stunning. And 3, Ari Aster very much researched the 5, I think it's 7 rules of how they lure people into cults. Like, this
for
is the
the
trauma,
midsummer,
because
yeah.
this is the trauma bonding experience, and they trauma bond with her here, and then they provide her healing moments,
The
and then they
boyfriend was
provide
given somebody. Yeah, it was very that.
it's all done really well from that aspect. The pacing drives it into the dirt. The lack of interaction with a majority of the characters, because there's a lot of silent people in this movie.
And the boyfriend was very, what's the word? He was so he's such a horrible person that every time he pop up on screen, you'd be like, please
I'd have
move
a
on to somebody
visceral
else.
reaction.
Like,
Yeah.
because he was I mean, the worst. And I get that they wanted us to not like him, but when I say it was hard for every scene he was in.
Okay, my thing is I'm all for like having like yellow flags leading up to the red flag, right? But from the beginning of the movie, it was red, 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 red. I'm like, what point do you turn around and go home? Do you hate yourself that much?
Yeah, that's
And
the
maybe
thing
she
too.
did. I don't know.
They were shown shit that would be like, it's time to leave. And when they didn't take those cues, it's like this. And I would feel some kind of way of some people in some sort of town, don't go anywhere. Well, you're not going to be able to, because I don't think so. This bitch here, what they do to find a mate with the menstruation period blood and the juice, and then her taking her pubic hair and putting it into a pie, and this man consuming it. I wasn't prepared for that scene. I didn't need to see the hair being pulled out. That was a lot to take in. A lot to take in. Once again, a lot to take in, because they showed her even shaving that kind. Oh, baby. This movie was insane. The ending was insanity. Insanity.
I love it.
I will watch it again. I have watched it again. It is just one of those movies that frustrates me a tad bit, but I have to watch it because of the feeling, the setting, the acting.
Yeah,
Pillars.
I have to be in a certain mood if I want to watch this multiple.
Yes.
Like, I've seen it twice, and I think it's visually stunning. I think Florence has a breakout performance in it. She is incredible. Like, she absolutely captures grief, but she is the dumbest lead female character that also is
all of them
strong feminist it's like such a juxtaposition, and I don't get it. But also the person that they're talking about with the fact that the black guy wanted to stay, they wasted William Jackson Harper in this. Hello?
We were
he deserved a bigger role.
So close to something, and he was actually the only one that was finding out things that were going on. And then you find out the inbred baby man, weird looking child, whatever thing situation happened. I was like, what? And it was Girl, I mean, I'm actually talking to the audience. I'm not talking to my they, them, freak up there. I'm talking to the audience. Girl. I
But also, it's kind of hard to believe he would go on this trip to begin with if we're really talking about. Like, imagine me pitching this idea to you as a black man.
there
I
are
want to
certain
go. I want
black
to go.
people that want to be surrounded by only whiteness. So,
True.
he gave a little
Like,
trash panda energy from the beginning here. I don't like black women because that's what he gave me. Like, no tea, but
it's true. Because if I sat down and I pitched you, hey, I really want to go on a trip with you. What if we went to an all-white Nordic retreat where we have random exercises that we do
No
to
electricity.
celebrate the spring? There's no electricity. There's no other black people. You're the only one. What do you say?
I'd tell you to go fuck yourself. Like, not even like
Exactly.
I'd probably hang up the phone and be like, this white motherfucker here.
What was appealing?
How
Like,
dare you?
there wasn't even a character background reason for why it would be appealing to him either.
I think they were doing something for like, oh no, that's because they were
Was there?
working
Did I forget?
Yeah. Remember, they were working on something for college. I think it was something for like this.
Oh, that's right. He was studying these tribes.
They were getting their doctorate degrees. Remember, and it was their last. Okay. Yeah, it was their last little thing that they had to do. Yeah. So I mean, I get that, but it was like him choosing that as a thing.
Choosing that. Yeah.
Like, bitch, you could have gone to the ocean. And study climate change. We'd appreciate. I'm just saying, that was weird to me too. But it was her inviting herself. The fact that they were given drugs at the beginning to trip out in this place and then fall into this weird dystopian universe. I found the inquisitiveness of everyone to be full of idiocracies, and that's what pissed me off. It was like, yes, they're trying to like find out more so we as an audience can understand, but everybody was stupid in their approach and were naive and just let things go. And it's like, why? Like, none of that would make sense to me to watch someone literally take out themselves that way, and then we saw them slam and damn someone. Oh no.
My thing is like, that thing happened with her sister, and then she saw that cliff thing happen, and she still was like, "I'm gonna stay." I would have walked.
Remember, she's like, "No, this is a lot," and the boyfriend's like, "Relax."
That slow walk she does to the fucking building.
Oh wait, we gotta do.
Where she's like,
the arms were like this the whole time, with
her little balled up Arthur fists.
Like just so tense. I said, "Oh my God, Florence, I would never believe you're an Avenger." But yeah, that was. We're actually about to come up to a movie that Bleeker is going to give as one of their favorites that I'm watching right now, and I'm gonna tell you the scene I just saw in a second, so you know what I'm at. Because I haven't finished it yet, but I have to. Like, I have to finish it right now.
Right? It's so good.
William Dafoe is a master. I'm like, this guy, why is this picture here? See, I did something wrong today moving forward. This is my mid movie. I love apocalyptic films. I do. I love it when there's a virus outbreak and it gives all this kind of energy. And this is literally the emphasis of this film. It comes at night. But when I tell you the pacing, it took so long.
Pulling my eyelashes out.
Because it's good, but it's so not. Like, it's really great. No, it's not. Like, that's the conversation we would have with It Comes at Night. This family is basically hunkered down because of this certain virus that's going around that you actually don't know about until a certain point in the movie. You're like, oh, that's what's going on. But they're afraid for things that are coming at night. And so they have to make sure that someone stays watch, and there's this door that no one wants to go behind. Then they end up meeting some guy who ends up falling for a trap, who brings his fiance in. And then all of a sudden this weird stuff starts happening. And then you find out that one of the people that was in the house was sick the entire time. And
I'm sorry, but it's literally a worse version of It Follows with a apocalyptic twist.
It Follows with The Last of Us with terrible writing. Excuse me, not terrible writing, terrible resolutions. There we go. Terrible resolutions. Great scenes.
And it's like, it's Paranormal Activity pacing, where it's
Yes.
like a minimal thing will happen, and they're like, let's discuss it for like an hour, and I'm like,
Yes!
why?
20 minutes. Y'all, there is a scene where they're walking in the woods and it's forever. Like it's
Like
like
a
you're just
20-minute talk, and I'm just like, we've not swapped a scene yet. We've not
uh,
swapped a scene.
I hated it. I mean, I liked it because I love scary movies. I remember I went to go see this and I was so like, this, yeah, keep it in, Matt. Come on, it's gonna get there. It's gonna get there. And it just never really picked up for me where I wanted it to go. While I will say there were some moments where the acting was superb, and there were some atmospheric moments where the tension in the scene where it would focus on a door and it would just slowly zoom in and then pan back to the next person slowly. Now that shit was like, what's going to happen? But more than half the time, nothing took place after that. It's like, and then stop. And then you open it and then nothing's there. What? And then boom, a jump scare. But it's like, no, we needed that moment then automatically jump into something because you built it, and that's going to be the scary part, not the fake away. We got you. No, we've been faked away too many times. It's over. So yeah, I for me, no.
It's one of those movies that if you're gonna put it on, you're likely gonna pause and randomly do things in the middle of it. Like I wanted to move around and do other things in the middle of it, and it just wasn't holding my attention. Not necessarily bad, but it's definitely not good. It's just meh.
Terribly paced for me. That was all.
Pacing is huge for me in a movie. It'll make or break a movie for me.
Because especially if it's ambiguous and you're not being given answers. So just make sure the pacing's right. So that way the questions really lead up into an ultimate discovery. And if it's not ultimate, we're like, so you just had to sit over here and just make up our own storylines. Okay, got it. Thanks. Like, I don't want to watch a movie and do Mad Libs every time. Sometimes
they also never gave us a reason to give a shit about those people, by the way.
That.
They never gave us a reason. Like, but none of them is a doctor or a scientist. They're just people in the woods.
It's just a family who just so happens to be out here. Then they meet these other people and then they bring all this chaos, and it was actually already chaos. But to get into the good stuff here, we're going to start with Past Lives, and this is one of Bleeker's choices. This is a recent A24 movie that came out. Talk about it, Bleeks.
I can't stop talking about this movie. I'm obsessed with this movie. If you haven't seen it, please go see it. It's on video on demand. It's also in theaters still. Greta Lee, if she doesn't get her movie nomination and her Best Acting nomination, I will be surprised, because this movie will punch you right in the soul. It is a universal feeling told in a very beautiful way from the eyes of immigrants. Okay. So they start in Korea, the two of them as children. They get along very well. They have little crushes on each other. You see them develop the relationship. Greta's character, Nora, her parents are artists who are moving to Canada to start a new life, get their things off the ground. There's nothing wrong with where they live. There's no detrimental reason. There's no trauma involved in this movie whatsoever. So you're not sitting there being held hostage with some sort of trauma separation between these two. It's just a separation of just life. And it's a lot of missed connections. So you see them as children, you see them as 20-somethings, and then you see them in their 30s in the 3 acts. The first act in the children is setting them up, and in the middle, you see them trying to do a long-distance relationship. So you see them figuring out times to wake up and FaceTime and talk to each other over time. And it's coming more and more clear that she enjoys a more Americanized life, and she wants to be prioritized as a person, not first and then in a relationship, whereas he is very much culturally stuck in the Korean mindset of, I'm not going to be good enough for her unless I do really well and I have a great career and I have my own home and I'm able to like really take care of her, but he would never prioritize her. So they just kind of misconnection. It wasn't a toxic thing. Not any point in time do you have any 3 of these people being toxic. It is the most healthy portrayal of right person, wrong time, wrong place. And it has such a realistic wrap up when she meets her husband in her 20s after they've kind of broken off their long distance. They start to talk to each other about things, and you see that he's not a bad guy either. You can't hate any of these characters. There's no real flaws. He's learning the language for her. He lets her, like, they're open and honest about each other, about him coming to see her for the first time in New York because he finally is going to make the trip out. And they find it's a movie of closure. You find this closure of like, I love this person so dearly and so immensely and so overwhelmingly, but the timing was just never right. And just because I still have this love for you doesn't mean I love this other person I found at the right time any less. And it's just the last 3 minutes of this movie are so simple yet so gut-wrenching. I was sobbing hysterically. And it's just the simplicity of it and the beauty of it and all the cultural tie-ins. You would not believe that this is Celine Song's first directorial and written film. Like, it feels like she's been filmmaking forever with how simple and beautiful these things are framed. There's never a point where there's weird pacing. Every silence between characters has a purpose. It's just so beautiful. Please go see this movie. Please.
Right, y'all. Past Lives. This is on my must-watch list here. And I've heard nothing but good things about it. So expect it to be talked about at award season for sure. Now, going into one of my favorite movies, which is currently a part of a trilogy series right now, and T.I. West here, I have to give him a shout out because I'm surprised at how much I love this movie, and I'm so happy I saw it. I wish I saw it in theaters, but I saw it at home, and I kept rewinding so many parts. Like, what? And then certain deliveries of lines, but it's called Pearl, and it's a prequel to a movie called X, which is again a part of a trilogy series where the next movie is going to be sort of after what happened in X, I believe, if I'm correct here, going in that direction. But the story of Pearl is kind of actually the character in the movie X who was considered to be the villain or the one of the people killing people. So this is her story, and it's played by the same actress who played a different character in X. I think that's so great. Mia Goth came back for this role, but it's literally watching one of the campiest horror movies I have ever seen in my entire life of a story. Maxine, thank you. That's going to be the next one after this. Of this woman who wants to be a star, and she's in this life because it's sort of like, early 50s, 40s America, where, men are off to war and women are at home and they're taking care of things, but she doesn't want to do that. She wants to be a star, but her husband's out there in the fields and she's stuck there taking care of the house. In the midst of
she only married him to leave.
Exactly. That was the plan, because he had the money to go. He was going to help her get where she wanted to go, and then boom, he got drafted, and now she's stuck. So in this part of her being stuck, she starts to lose and get bitter a bit. It ends up taking it out on animals. If you are a lover of animals and if you're a PETA, I would not recommend watching this movie at all.
And imagine being both psychotic and hypersexual, and you've got Pearl.
That part, because she finds lust through what she does, through feeling. Oh, believe me, I think I have a picture of that scene in itself. But this part, baby girl,
the slow rock, torturous rocking back and forth of the wheelchair too.
It's brilliant acting, brilliant writing, and it's done in a classic style. Like, imagine watching like the I Love Lucy show, or like Wizard of Oz, and that sort of like Technicolor dream style,
like an old 60s style,
very old 60s. So it was filmed almost like that, in a sort of updated twist without the music going that direction, thank God. And sometimes I hate when they do that, if they put modern music, and I'm like, thank God that didn't happen. But Pearls is mad. She's literally mad, like delusional. No, like seeing visions of her. Yes, that lady is insane. And she thinks she's a star with talent, and she's, may not be so. And when things don't go her way, she loses her shit and takes it out, because in her fantasy, everything is going to go her way.
Please, I'm a star.
When I tell you, I was sorry. The ending of the movie was madness.
Did you know he really had her hold her smile that long? And the reason she's crying is because it hurts so bad?
Yes. And and that's what I thought was perfect, because like that, if you do hold something like that, y'all know your eyes start to like water up and tear up because you're trying not to blink. But like,
I'm so glad you're home.
Please do me a favor. Watch X first, because it has to be done in that order. I've learned, like, if I watched Pearl and X, and I was like, no, it has to be X then Pearl. Watch X first, because that was kind of a really cool movie, and it was very much done like old school slasher style. Very weird, weird movie. It's good though. But when you watch this afterwards, it adds so much context, and it gives this new feeling and new direction into what they're setting up for this universe that is then going to go to Maxine. So
yeah,
like,
Maxine, we're getting early next year some point,
but
it'll probably get pushed to summer.
I'm hoping not. I'm hoping we find a way through that one.
I know, me too. Since it's A24, we shouldn't see any delays or pushes, but you never know.
We never know. We're gonna hope and
it's
pray.
Already filmed. It's already in the can. They already finished it, so that's good news.
That part. But I highly recommend it. Now, I am currently watching this one as we speak, but this is Bleeker's choice in A24 films. I can tell you from the first 50 minutes that I've seen, absolutely watch this. But go ahead, Bleeker. Don't spoil it for me, though.
No. I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm going to.
Because I saw some shit slide on the screen, and I was like, "What the fuck was?" Now, where are we going? And
Where are you at? Where are you at?
So the part when he like he wakes up in the middle of the night and he hears William Dafoe like moaning, and then he looks up and then something slides across the thing, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? That part, like, and I'm
the upper decker.
Yes, and Bleeker, I don't know what that is yet, so I don't want to like. I really paused there. I look, because when I tell you that shit freaked, it's daytime.
I know where you are.
I'm like, what the fuck was that? Ew, is this what I think it's about to be? So yeah, go on.
Okay. So,
it's crazy.
Well, first of all, Sasha, to answer your question, no, I'm not. If I had the money and wherewithal to be, I would, but no.
Photographer.
I am a photographer. That is very true. The lighthouse is about two men who signed up to be light keepers for the lighthouse. It's a contracted position, so they go in, finish what they need to do and their little assigned duties for X amount of time, and then they're supposed to leave. There's so many storms that they're kind of just like there all the time. And it's like a descent into madness between the two of them, because what do? You're just stuck on this rock with one person the entire time. And for me, it's kind of like a comedy in a way. Like, some of the things that they do are so funny in how they react. And as they go more delusionally off the freaking reservation, they get funnier. But you shouldn't be laughing at these things, because these are literally people losing their minds in this lighthouse.
To Bleeker's point, only to add into this, because for not Edward over here.
Not Edward, Robert Pattinson.
There we go.
Willem.
I have to go. Not Edward, but Robert Pattinson is new and fresh to this, where William Dafoe's character has been doing this for many moons. I'm at that part now, where he's like, I've done 13 Christmases, and the reason why he no longer has a wife, and he talks about the sea and the lighthouse being his woman and his lady now, because he's so dedicated to it, where Robert Pattinson's character is running away from something that we know about so far, and it's almost like William's trying to tell him, you're me, but and Robert's like, I'm not you, because this is not me, but I just want the money. And he's like, well, now that you're here, this is what we're going to have to go through. And he starts to give him these sea rules that are very strange. Like, don't hit a seagull. It's bad luck. You don't fuck with the birds over here. And you're starting to see things, boy. And he almost like he's driving him insane, but then he's already been seeing things too. Honey, there are these moments so far. The mermaid scene weirded me out in the beginning, because I was like, I hope I see them again, but don't tell me.
Because what happens, especially with
you saw a body floating, and then all of a sudden, like, what? Like, what? And then there's a mermaid in the water. I'm like, wait, what? And
And the scene. I'm just saying, and that's real. Sea, like people at sea for centuries were literally doing those things to sea creatures and calling them mermaids. That's a real thing. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, what did he see? What did he see, if he saw anything at all? And there's this whole roundabout as things devolve that you just can't help but lean into. And the way that it's shot makes it even more perfect. Like 1-to-1 aspect ratio, the black and white, the very deliberate choice to not have music playing. Like it's just,
that's my favorite part because it's so eerie. It's so
and
strange and
the conversations they have, they start out so normal and then they turn into this like weird feral competition between the two of them. It's just like you can't help but continue to watch.
It's the contrast of daylight in certain scenes that it really illuminates the room in this black and white level of very much you can clearly see things, but there's still a bit of darkness. But then at night is when it's really going down because it's almost like there's only one light in the room for all of those scenes, except or when they're in the lighthouse in general, and it's the flashing of that light.
Yes.
And the way it's shot in black and white with those tones and the depth of how it just looks. It's like a rich film. And like, can you imagine a rich film in black and white on 1x1?
It has such a way of showing you how, and the reason it's filmed that way is because they want to show you how confined it really is. Because everything is confined there.
To me, it felt like they were almost presenting a film that had been lost somewhere, like a nostalgia based.
This is like the found footage.
Yes, very. That is what it's this one lost movie from a director who died, who didn't want anyone to see this work. And it's like, oh, that's what it seems like. Because when you get in there, y'all, again, no music, no kind of transition like that. It's very, you're in it, go. It's like, huh? Oh, and that's what I like about it. It's some movies don't do it well. This is so far for me. I haven't got to the end yet, but when I want to show you all this picture of William Dafoe before we go on to the next one. Because when I tell you, I'm saying William Dafoe.
Willem. It's like Willem, like the drag queen. Willem, not William.
It's not Will.
It's Willem.
Let me look this up.
No, Willem. Willem.
I'll be damned.
That's why I'm like, Willem.
No, because see, someone wrote William James, then Willem Dafoe. That's crazy. I have to go back and look at every time I've seen his name somewhere. Maybe it's the, Willem. You know, when your eye sort of makes those tricks and you're like, it's
his birth name is William, but his name, stage name is Willem.
Oh.
It's because it's been mispronounced his whole life because he's from like a Nordic background of some kind, and everybody kept pronouncing it as Wilhelm. So he said, "Okay, I'll just go with Willem."
To real talk,
isn't that crazy?
Yeah, like I take no L's on that one because I've always seen it as William. And like
that's why I'm not faulting you for it. Like everybody does it.
This is me looking at every credit. Girl, it's spelled what?
Willem.
That's correct. I have never seen. Was it the Mandela effect? No, I'm playing. We're playing here. I swear I've never seen it any other way. That's insanity. Now I'm looking at it. It's like boom, right there. Okay,
it's the face right there. But like him screaming in this scene, please.
Listen, it was when he
show you the madness.
When he slapped the shit out of Robert Pattinson
and his whole body just.
He said, "Tall tales." Listen, this man's
all the way back. He brought his arm you saw his arm rotate back and everything. Full windmill in.
He said,
"Oh my God.
Do not mess with the birds. It's bad luck." And then turns and goes, "Don't pay me no mind, boy. Don't pay me no mind." He got back. I was like, "What? Oh,
I've been seeing you looking at my lobster." Please.
I was like, "Wait, what is happening here?" It's insanity, but I would suggest watching
it. So happy.
I'm almost done. I'm almost done with it. We're wrapping up to the last two movies, a part of the best of the best for me here. Hereditary is the movie in the horror film department that brought me back to life again. I know Julie hates this movie, which I don't understand, but for me, this was perfection. I loved every single aspect of this film, from the moments that made sense to the moments that made absolutely none. in reference to a woman who's grieving after the loss of their mother, who had a very big connection with her, but also the connection was kind of fucked up because of the distance that she had, where she wanted to get connected to her daughter, who seems a little special, but it really gets somewhere else. Now I understand what was going on, because I was like, oh, that's why she was acting like that. Oh my God. But she has her own deadlines and her own stress with her family, issues with her husband, the son being a little bit separated. It looks like it was a previous marriage. I don't really want to go there. But it ends up being a moment where the daughter that she has sort of attached herself to, especially after her mother's passing, ends up dying at the fault of her son.
Some of my favorite memes have been born of this movie. I'm sorry.
And there was already weird things happening after the mother had died, because there was so much secrecy around the mother's and success, as well as her influence over the neighborhood, because the entire community that they're in seems to be very connected with the family more than they even know themselves. This dinner table scene will go down.
How dare you? I am your mother.
But like, I'm still mad Tony didn't win an Oscar for this scene. I'm sorry. Like,
didn't
just
even
for
get
this
a
scene alone,
nomination.
like, deserved. Toni Collette is one of my favorite actresses of all time. I'm just gonna
Can we just talk about how Toni Collette has been snubbed 1,000 gajillion times at this point? For Emmys or otherwise? Like, hello, where's her award for United States of Terror? Where's her award for Muriel's Wedding? Where's her award for Hereditary?
That show's great. That's another recommendation.
The way they had to wrap it up so quickly because of like funding is just so stupid. I'm so mad at how they ended it.
The thing about this movie and where it goes, and not to give too much away, but there is demonic entities involved in reference to this, and kings of hell, if you will. It gets very, very deep. It gets very, very insane. It is very cultish. Another A24, classic, regular, a little culty kind of pagan-esque ritual movie. And you find out where the mother got her money from and what their family means to this entity, that then takes us into several scenes. And this woman, please pay attention to her through this movie, because she comes off like a friend. She is not. But when I tell you, it goes into hell and beyond with what happens to the family, and the entire ending alone was absolute insanity. This ending was absolute insanity. Insanity. This is me not giving it away. Because when you find out what's going on and it gets into the final act and all those people are surrounding the house, get ready. Because after that, every scene is on some, what? Excuse me? What? Oh my God, no. What? Craziness.
I just think I think that each person that's in this played such a specific and well thought out part. Like, the son was the insufferable, selfish kid, and then he realized, oh, I did something real messed up, and then he continued to do so.
Congratulations, Sasha. That's amazing.
Oh, hey. That's amazing.
I would love to see your work, doll, but congratulations to you. Congratulations. That's amazing. Yeah, I'd love to make movies, but I need money.
And my thing is like,
scripts,
just toss me in a writer's room. Toss me
literally,
in a writer's room.
Went to school for it and everything too. Like, let's go. Like, this is nothing for me. Girl, putting a story together, an original one. Oh, that's why I'm like, why are we going through AI again? They're just not giving people who actually, you can look for other folks to write every script.
While we're taking a break to talk about that, let's just make sure that we're supporting the WGA SAG-AFTRA.
That part.
Now VFX artists are unionizing to get off the chopping block. Disney cast members are now getting to unionize to get off the chopping block. Essentially, screw you, big studios. A24 we're talking about them today only because they abide by the rules set in place for WGA and SAG-AFTRA, just so we can cover that base again.
We're also hoping that we get more films from them released soon, because I do love all of their work. Talk to me.
A20, I think we should do a Neon episode too, because Neon puts out a hell of a lot of good movies. And bad.
And bad.
And bad. and bad.
There's been a lot of crap in the Neon Factory, but there's some good ones too. But no, I recommend this one. It's a build up. It's a great story. Toni Collette's acting really holds it through. If you're not into this sort of demonic sort of entity horror films, I would recommend not, because it's going to get really fucking crazy. Actually, no, even the first act with the child. No, yeah.
In general, if you're sensitive or don't really like demonic entities
or disturbing imagery,
yeah, a lot of Ari Aster's films may not be for you.
Yeah, he's very good at fucking with your brain after being in a calm setting and then all of a sudden seeing a child's head on the ground. Like, what?
Liam, Lionsgate is a part of the companies that don't abide by the rules, so
Yeah.
we would have to wait.
That's exactly. Last movie on the A24 list today that we're going to be talking about, both a movie that both me and Bleeker love, is Moonlight. I actually got emotional getting these screenshots. I started crying.
This should be in history books. This should be taught in classes. This should be shown to anyone and everyone. This is, and I mean this very sincerely as somebody who watches thousands of movies, is the perfect movie. There are no flaws. There are no shots that you think are unnecessary. Beautiful. Please, I want to hear everything you have to say about this. Especially, and I want to hear it from you.
I get so emotional thinking about, like, it's hard for me to watch this movie as a Black gay man. It's very difficult. And I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional.
Oh, you're gonna make me cry.
I know, but it's like, as somebody who grew up in a religious household, in a Black community, in a Black family, and also had to see and witness other Black men like me who are gay that grew up like how this man grew up. Some that I even dated. This is the guy in the story. He actually reminded me of my ex because he was very much in gangs and being this person in this life, and he had to do all that to survive, but he really wanted to be with a man and have his love expressed that way, but everything around him was so toxic. It was insane. And I still love that guy, but like not as like, oh man, whatever, but I knew his journey. So for me, I related to this on different levels, but on the same level of having to survive through your trauma as a child with your family and how you could never be yourself and you had to still find your way through life, doing the things that you had to do, and there being that one glimmer of hope in somebody who you connected with that made you feel like the person that you were supposed to be. And so like he got lucky because his mother was like this abusive drug addict who basically like didn't take care of her child and left him to fend for himself. And there was a man who was played by, I forget the actor's name, but he passed away unfortunately. What is his name? Fuck, I can't think of his name, but he was like a father figure to him. And he was the one that showed him love no matter who he was through another stance as a man. You know what I'm saying? He also wasn't like him, but he still showed affection and he brought him around people that gave a fuck about him and took care of him. And he had to find his way through life in so many hard ways. Michael K. Williams, is that his name?
Yes, I think so.
I think so too. Hold on. Let me double check here. Phone, come on, face. I know I've been crying. Because he recently had passed. And I was like, child, what? Yes, Michael K. Williams. Yeah. Great actor.
That man has been in so many things.
He was in The Wire, and he was my favorite person on that show. That was one of my favorite shows ever. But like it was very hard.
I know.
It's sorry. It's just a movie that encompasses the life of so many people, and at the same time tells a story that a lot of us can't share, or a lot of Black men in the community aren't able to share because of their fear. And it was well done. It was beautifully shot. It wasn't stereotypical. It wasn't, it was done in an artistic form, but also in a love letter kind of a way. And it ended beautifully. And sorry if I'm not going into too deep a detail with it, but I've been the guy at the restaurant. It reminds me of someone I used to talk to who's no longer with us, but like I've been that guy who saw someone from my past who we used to talk and mess around when we were younger, but he was still like down low. And when we last saw each other before he passed away some years ago, he talked about how he really wanted to be with me. And it was so difficult because of his family and how he knew how he would maybe even be killed by that. You know what I'm saying? And it was always a secret. And I had to watch somebody literally who's not even with us anymore not be himself. You know what I mean? So it's so this movie was a lot to take in on my own personal level, but also from my standpoints of my own dad threatening me with death over being gay and having to hide my lifestyle for so many years until I finally just let go. And then here I am today, right? But
I obviously can't speak to this, but do you see
it just made a lot. It meant a lot to me.
Do you see this as representation you want to see more of?
I would love to see more films done like this, specifically for Black gay men and not just men of color. I will say men of color, but more so Black gay men, because a lot of the movies that always get pushed to the forefront include white actors, like Call Me by Your Name on some really gross level of, you know what I'm talking about, with some underage mess or whatever, or some sort of like, you know, love story here of these two white dudes in this, or this, you know, white savior complex of this Black lover situation. This is the way they did this is like the life that I knew and could relate to and understood and have seen before. So it was a story that was actually real. You know what I'm saying? It was actually real. It wasn't Michael Kenneth Williams. Okay,
no, yeah, I don't think it was.
Well, hold
looking.
on. I'm messing up the actor's name. I'm just trying to get the name right here. If I had that incorrect, my apologies. I'll delete those comments if I see them. Because clearly we had that wrong. I'm just trying to get the right person. I forget who it was. That was the actor, and I can't get his name out here. I just went with what we saw out here today. I'd like to actually focus on the point right now, as I'm emotional and I really don't give a damn. There we go. There we go. Bam. That's the name.
Oh, you're actually
there we go. There we go.
Lead. Okay,
there we go.
A side character. Okay, yeah.
There we go. There we go. There it is. There it is.
Alive,
yeah, there it is. That's yes, he is alive. That's the one. I don't know why I'm thinking of Old Boy from The Wire right now.
Because
Lovecraft
honestly,
Country.
if you think about Michael K also does really great things for the Black queer community too, or did do a lot of.
It was the Lovecraft Country. That's where my mind was at with the top. It was in my same head atmosphere with that. Okay. Ooh.
I know, like, we apologize to Mahershala Ali. He is fine and well. He is alive and wonderful, and he will be our new Blade.
Oof. If we see it.
If it ever gets made.
If we see it.
This movie made me cry hysterically. I still think about it. I have only been able to rewatch it once just because it's so deep. And I'm not even a part of the demographic it's for, right? Like
this scene right here.
Oh, that honestly, the way that it's shot, the way that it's cut, the perfect back and forth, it's just
when he sees his mama later,
it's so gut wrenching,
heartbreaking. Oh, I can't look at this. Like. I had these, my dad was never like addicted to drugs, but there would be these times when he would just yell at me, and it was about me being feminine in some kind of way. And I mean, just yell and say the worst stuff. And I couldn't move. I wouldn't be able to leave because he had a belt in his hand. If I moved, he'd pop me. And it just pulled, the trauma I sat through in this movie. I was like, oh, this is too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
But like, it was great. It's a good movie, but man, oh man, when I say it's gonna pull some emotions out of you.
Yeah, get some tissues if you're gonna watch it. Yeah, and definitely shout out to Naomi Harris and Janelle Monáe in that. Miss Janelle is making all the right movie moves, by the way. Have you noticed that?
She's also got a good agent too, whoever she's working with, because they're doing the right stuff about it. Yeah, Michael. I'm actually a fan of his work. That's why I'm mad. I messed that up. I confused the two. But I also
you were in an emotional state.
Well, that, and I also thought of that same context of, hiding in DL, and then I remembered the Lovecraft Country bit and how much I cried in that. Man, I'm so mad we're not getting a season 2 because that
Oh,
show,
I
like
know.
that thing, oh, it was in with me. I just something about when I see that kind of this kind of love like this, like the way
Like,
this
to
closed
see
out.
2 very masculine men have a tender moment like that, you're out of your mind.
And it wasn't done in
So
like this really gross sexual
No!
way. It was done in like
It
this
was
emotional sense.
sweet.
And it was just, he needed that shoulder. And there's somebody who I used to, oh God, what's it?
How often do you get to see this kind of tenderness between 2 Black men in general? Like, it's so beautiful. And I'm like, I will forever curse the man, I won't even give him his name on this show, that said the wrong award name.
Oh
Like,
God.
you said La La Land instead of Moonlight, stealing from their stuff, their pride, their
Yeah,
light,
because this
because
was best picture. Yeah.
they deserved every ounce of light on this. They deserved no, because all people talk about is the controversy around the wrong name rather than the actual movie winning. This deserved the win. This deserved the attention. Mahershala deserved his win. He did so much in this. Everybody worked at full blast to emotionally just cut you to the core. So beautiful.
Yeah. I don't know. If this didn't move you, I would question your.
Are you dead inside?
Yeah, I'd question it. I was thankful for this movie. It was one of the films that was one of the ones that changed my life as not just a moviegoer, but as a person in general. And I needed to see this representation, like how Noah's Ark did that for me, how the movie Punks was a part of my life, and so many other films where it's kind of few and far in between now. And most representations done through reality TV through a certain lens and all that kind of jazz. So um, it was great. Yeah, it was great. It's hard for me to watch this again. Sometimes I think about watching. I'm like, I can't sit through this again. I can't do it. I can't
Yeah.
do it. Yeah,
But sometimes you need the cry, to be honest. Sometimes it's
yeah,
cathartic.
yeah.
So it's gonna be very cathartic to people, I feel like.
Oh, because honey, when I say sob dog,
Oh, and this is filmed in a way that, like, it's going to transcend whatever time period it is. Like,
and the
this
music
is
too.
very
That score
much
was it was roller coaster of emotions how it gets you in there.
every
But yeah, highly recommend a lot of these movies that we talked about today, and I hope you
Yeah.
dive into the A24 effect, if you will, of original scripts, interesting plots, nothing that seems to be too familiar sometimes. And it may have you going, what the hell did I just watch? But other times it's like, wow, what did I just watch in terms of filmmaking? So I'd highly
I'm
recommend
actually
we get there. There's a lot more.
I'm gonna put a list of all of the A24 movies that have been released in chat. You guys can have that there. Everything in there is detailed description and everything if you want to dive into the pool of things, because I know some A24 movies get pimped more than others. I don't know why, but if they're not getting award notoriety, they kind of get swept under the rug when there's a lot of beautiful stories being told by A24 specifically. They very much are killing it in the storytelling game.
Mm-hmm.
And they're making a lot of meaningful content, like a lot of meaningful content.
I feel like
Like,
a lot of our A24 love comes from the fact that a lot of the writers and directors are in our sort of realm of,
they hire more than white writers. You can just say that. There's more than white cis writers working on A24 projects. They are purposely seeking out diverse projects.
knocked out on my shoes, y'all. No, Talk to Me was recent. It's not my favorite. You know better. You know better, Big Boy. But I did not like that ending. We sat through that together. Yeah, I know you enjoy. I was here all the way until we got there, and I was like,
do you have any
really
honorable mentions that you want to shout out of A24?
Not so much. Really, the Everything Everywhere All at Once is an A24 production, y'all. We know we've talked about it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm trying to think of anything else. I really want to finish this Lighthouse movie. Like I have to
I
go to the
can't wait
store to
till you
go.
get to the end. I
Like,
can't wait to get the text.
I got to buy some more wraps now so I can finish this appropriately. And I'm actually going to step away from my computer and watch it on the couch, finish it because I've been at the computer watching it. So yeah, I got to finish it right now and see if that's going to be in there.
I think if I'm going to do honorable mentions, After Sun, Good Time. What's one more? Killing of a Sacred Deer. We've already talked about it. We talked about it last time, but Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Yes.
So good.
I remember I watched that because of you. Yeah.
I'm telling. See, I
totally
know
go watch it.
I know which ones to recommend to certain people. Like
that was insanity. It is Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman, Colin Farrell, Barry Keoghan.
Insane. I couldn't believe that ending. That was absolutely fucking ridiculous. Okay, it was ridiculous. Couldn't believe it. I was like, what? Okay, but yes, I highly please. Yeah, I was not prepared. The
spin around. Like, how do you choose?
Bam! But it was the first shot that he missed.
And having to reline it up, please. Okay. Anyways, those are my honorable mentions. Thank you. We, as always, we like to talk healthily about movies, whether we disagree or agree. You can obviously see, you can absolutely have conversations about media without getting personal and defensive about it. Okay,
Exactly.
Let's just continue that trend. Spread that around as your behavior in watching movies. It'll make your life way better.
That part. You will more than likely see us again either towards the end of September or beginning of October for the movie podcast. We are going to get a Discord together before the end of this month. A Discord together in reference for movies where y'all can be
watch
a part of it.
movies.
Yes, all together now. All together. It's going to be like a movie club. I think that's
We're going to have a movie club. We're going to be watching movies either every 2 weeks or once a month together, discussing movies, trailers, anything that you want to put in there. Like, oh, I just watched this, sharing our letterbox, all that stuff. All of that is coming.
We want to hear from y'all too.
For it. We want to be able to interact with you guys because part of watching movies, the fun is talking about it after.
And that's what me and Bleeker do literally every time we go to the movies.
We call each other.
1 hour. I'm not going to spoil it, but here's me talking about it for an hour without spoiling it for you. So, yeah, get ready for that. It's going to be fun. And there will be some Patreon exclusive stuff that we're going to be putting together for the podcast on Page. Get ready for that too. So, Bleeker, socials, anything you want to close out with?
Venmo is on the screen. Socials, Letterboxd, it's Bleeker. Nothing else. Twitter, it's Bleeker XOX. That's where you're going to find me the most.
Awesome. All my stuff is in the description as well, in the tip jar, as you can see, is down here with PayPal and Cash App and Venmo. I appreciate everybody for tuning in today. Do us a favor and hit that like button before you walk out this door and share this video with your other movie loving friends. October is coming up. We've already done horror films, so we may do something like how they do Christmas in the summertime. We might switch it up a little bit and do, instead of like horror films, psychological thrillers.
A little mind-bending fear.
I have the first one I'm going to throw in on that list. Copycat with Sigourney Weaver and Holly Hunter.
The Strangers.
See where we're going with this? Yeah. So not typical horror, but almost thrillery. It's psychologically horror. That was terrible. Also, we did see the most recent trailer for Hayao Miyazaki's new movie coming out here. I think
we will be on that.
The Boy and the Heron. Oh, I have to see it. Okay, I have to. Yeah, Copycat is one of my favorite Sigourney Weaver movies ever. That bathroom scene when she was hanging upside, bitch, with the look that was trying to catch the toilet. Yes, come on, Sigourney, survive. I was so here for that movie. Sorry, that was great. Holly Hunter, we could talk about it for years, but we'll get there in a second. So yes, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you so
Yeah.
very, very much. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Drop tippy poos in our jars. And we'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.
Listen. Yeah.